Good morning, good morning. Is it good morning? Yes, it's morning still where I am. Oh, it is at 9:30. Hello, familia. My name is Magdalene Janet. If you are new, welcome to the fam. Please don't forget to like and subscribe because we're always here having a good time. And come visit me on TikTok and Insta because I'm there daily. And of course, welcome back to our oldies but goodies. We got a lot of oldies but goodies these days. Thank you guys for the love. I love you. I love you. I was looking at my drawer. Okay, first of all, remember where I just decluttered my makeup that took me 8 to 9 hours to do. There's a video on that. You've seen it. If you haven't, let me link it down below for you so you can see. So I'm looking at my blush drawer and it's out of control already, and I just decluttered. I swear it was like 3 months ago. I have my cafecito here because I need help. You guys, look at, my sister gave me this cup. Look how cute for my 50K celebration gift. Isn't this so cute? And look, it's for hot coffee, but I just made it cold in here because I wanted to use it today. Oh my God. So what was I saying? You see, I get so distracted. Blushes are out of control. My drawer is not closing and I'm like, I can't declutter. I love blushes and I just decluttered. But anyway, let's talk about blushes today. Both cream and powder. I'm gonna do hand swatches. I obviously can't swatch them on my face. And I'm doing a foundation review. So, you know, your girl's always moving and grooving. So let's start with cream blushes. And these are gonna be blushes that are brand new that released this year. I'm not talking about old blushes. I'm not talking about favorite makeup. I'm talking about, well, kind of new favorite blushes. I do want to focus on brand spanking new stuff that released this year, 2023. Let's begin with, I don't even know where to begin. They're not going to be in any particular order. I just like them all. I want to talk to you about them. Let's start with Danessa Myricks. We know Danessa Myricks is the queen of glowy, of pigmented makeup. So these are what it is. These are blush bombs. So you can see like the actual swatch. Look. Girl, when I say creamy, this is creamy. So Danessa Myricks is very known for very pigmented, glowy products. Like I said, her makeup is great. I don't find anything really wrong with it. I never find that it separates, that it's lackluster. So these blushes are beautiful. They have this cream powder feel. They last all day long. And if you're not familiar with cream blushes or the purpose of it, essentially you can either use it by itself, set it down with some powder, or if you don't set your makeup down, you could just add a little bit of color and you're good for the day. This is great for people with oily skin like us or days when it's hot. It's a double enforcement. You can first add your cream products, place it down, set it, or set it with a powder blush. Look at this pigment, like girl. And things like this, blushes, I feel they have to be pigmented in order for them to work and be worthy of our money, you know? And honestly, you can just take a little bit and just add it on your skin. You got that pigment going. Pigment is always going to be your friend. I don't ever find things are too pigmented. If it is, or if it feels like a little much, just go in with the lighter hand. That's it, you know? Talking about pigment, girl, Juvia's Place, I really find that these are a dupe for the Rare Beauty blushes just because the pigment, the texture is very, 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 very similar. And let me show you. Let me show you. Bam! You know how with Rare Beauty, like the running joke is always like one dot goes a long way? Literally, one dot goes a long way with Juvia's Place. Look at this pigment. Girl, like, when you see pigment like this, and I like a good liquid blush, the Danessa Myricks has more of a cream balm feel. This is more liquid. Liquid tends to be thinner in texture and it blends a lot faster, I would say. Like you can blend it quicker than a balm because a balm is thicker, you know? So that's the difference between the textures. But when you want pigment, you want something to really go a long way. Get this one. It's affordable. It's pigmented. It lasts all day. This is so pigmented that even if you set with a setting powder, you know, when you set your makeup, you can still see it through and you don't even have to add a powder blush. I always do. It's always good to have something that pigmented because you don't have to go in with two products if you don't have time, if you don't want to, if you don't like to. You know, makeup, you do makeup however you want to and whatever works well for you, you know? Also, the Juvia's Place blushes, they have such a liquidy, lightweight texture, which can be a little confusing. That could be seen as something that doesn't have that much pigment. But that's not the case with those bad boys. Next up is Charlotte Tilbury. She released these matte wand blushes. I only have one shade, and I bought the shade that is no longer available. No, or I think it was like a limited shade. I like these. The only thing is that they're super expensive and there's so many other options. If you like Charlotte Tilbury as a brand or her makeup in general, I totally think it's worth it. I do like Charlotte Tilbury makeup. It's a very flawless airbrush look, and with all her products, I do find that that's the end result you get regardless. But if you're like, whoa, this is too steep, you know, I got all kinds of options here for you. This is the shade Pillow Talk. They're a matte finish. They're not too matte. They're like this sort of glowy matte. It has this thing. It comes with, it's a wand. You turn it and then it's nice because you can lock it. It can get messy though, so just keep in mind. This is more of a mauve pink shade. I love all kinds of different blush shades. You guys know lately I've been loving a coral blush. I love a nice rose blush. I like a pink, but I feel like I used pink last year so much, I'm a little pinked out. So here, we're gonna close it. Yeah, whatever remains there. Also with Charlotte Tilbury, she's more of a subtle sort of makeup. Like there is pigment, but something like this, especially up against my skin tone, it won't be too vibrant. So keep in mind also colors look different on everybody's skin tone. So like this can look very subtle on me, but someone that has fair skin, this can look too intense, or it can look a little gray because of that mauve tone. This has more of a gel-like texture. It's like this gel liquid mix. It's not creamy. So this is what you're gonna get with Charlotte Tilbury. But again, this color is not available. I'll link the colors that are available at Sephora. I do have reviews on all of these blushes, so if you want further information, you can always type in my name and say, like, let's say Kulfi. We're going to talk about Kulfi right now. You'll find it. Kulfi is a brand that is sold at Sephora, and they release these blushes that come in like this little, it looks like a little paint jar. Not jar, but you know what it is. Paint tube. And girl, when I tell you, this feels like paint. Not only is it pigmented, it's creamy. It has like a creamy liquid texture, a little creamier than the Charlotte Tilbury, but look at this purple. Look how beautiful it is. Super pigmented where it stains. Staining doesn't bother me. I know it bothers a few of you guys, so just keep in mind this is so pigmented it will stain your cheek. I put some on my lid when I reviewed it. It stained it, but I just love how nice it adheres to the skin. Because of the texture, it kind of just sticks down and it's not gonna move. So for us oily girls that we don't want our makeup to move at all, especially in this heat, this is a great blush. It's super pigmented. Like this is one of the ones that I would say is most pigmented. Not out of all of them, but it's on the high levels of pigment. And they come in a bunch of shades. It's a small brand at Sephora. I will link all these for you guys to check out if you just want to see and peruse. So this is great. I really like it. And look, it's already drying down. This is what I'm telling you about, that stain power is legit because it's kind of like paint on your face. You just blend it out, but there's enough time to blend. It doesn't dry down where you're like, dang, I can't even work with this thing. No, this is just yeah, you see it's stained a little bit, just a smidge. This is the only blush I can think of that does do a lot of that staining. Next one up is Mario. I love Mario makeup. Mario released these blushes, Soft Pop Plumping Blush Veil, and literally what's in the name is what happens here. You get a veil of color. It has a good amount of pigment where it's not veil where you don't even see anything. It's just this light coverage, balmy feel. This is the same texture of his Balm cream bronzer. So if you like that, this is what you're gonna get. This is the type of product and texture and pigment that doesn't dry down. You'll always have that kind of wet look. I would suggest to set this down with the actual powder blush as opposed to a setting powder because I don't feel like it works as much and you won't get the best payoff out of this. It's good. Let me show you. Let me do this motion, right? Bam. That's what you see? I like when I describe something and then I swatch it. I'm like, yep, that's exactly what I meant. Sometimes I'm like, am I explaining things well? Because I really want to explain things in a very easy way. Nothing too convoluted, nothing too complicated where you're like, what are you talking about? No, this is what you get. I don't know why I just went on that rant, but you know, things be like that sometimes. So yes, back to this. What was I saying? Oh, it's a veil. It's very lightweight. It has that glossy feel. Be careful with glossy products though. They don't set as well. You have to just set it very specifically. Like I told you, set it with a actual blush. So all that pigment kind of stays in that area. Because this is a balm, it maintains kind of wet, not wet because it's not like a liquid wet product, but it just keeps that balmy feel. When I used it, I just loved it because you guys know I have a small face. My blush always goes and gets out of control just because that's how I do things. And this one is that type you could really build and you won't look clowny at all. Like this is that one that you could really play with. And it's not like, whoa, there's some highly pigmented blushes where you really can't be playing around because you just need to dot it and be done with it. You know what I'm saying? And you'll just get something very subtle, very flush of color. If you want to do like a no makeup look with no foundation or concealer, just add a little bit of blush. This is like the perfect type of blush that really complements bare skin. You know, I don't say that a lot. A lot of times very pigmented products just work with makeup layering because that's just how makeup looks good and it lasts that way, you know? Cosmetics has these stick blushes. They've had the actual stick blushes for a while, but they released new shades this year. And two of the shades that I really like are these. This is more of a lavender, chiffon, and strawberry. These are very pigmented, creamy blushes I really like because look, you see that creamy? It has a bit of a like matte powder feel. Look at this. Look at this pigment. It looks like a cream in a stick. That's the perfect way I can describe these. Again, these aren't new. The shades are new. And Cosmetics, if you're not familiar, Michelle Phan is the founder of it. And she creates just very natural makeup. But it's pigmented and it works. You guys know I'm a full coverage queen. And I love her makeup line because it just really works because of that pigment. You can sheer things out. You can wear it in a very subtle way. But you can also build it up because it has that pigment. Typically, things that are buildable have to have a good amount of pigment to build. If something doesn't have pigment when you're trying to build it, it kind of just goes away. It goes away, it shears out, it kind of blends into your skin. Look at these shades. Oh my god, so pretty. So I did review them when they first released, I believe a year ago or like maybe 2 years ago. So that review is up, just not these shades. The texture, the quality is still exactly the same. And girl, I love a good stick though. Lately, I've been kind of like in a rush and I just do this motion. And you guys already know, I always say not to do this because it can move your foundation. But when you have something very creamy, it's doable. You know what I'm saying? You know, there's rules to everything. There's exceptions to everything too. These Cosmetic blushes, and you know, I wanted to wear it today, but because I'm doing a foundation wear test, you guys know I don't use cream products when I'm testing a foundation out. I like to wear the bare minimum makeup when I'm reviewing a foundation so you can see how it looks. The e.l.f. Halo Glow Beauty Wand. This is different in the sense that it has a very much glowy finish, but it has pigment. It's not that glittery glowiness that it's like, oh no. You see, it has like that reflect of a highlight and a blush. This is what I would call a perfect example of a highlighter blush. It's not too highlighty, but it has that good pigment where you see the shade and the actual color on your skin tone. This is the shade Rose You Slay. So I really, really like them. I don't use it as often because I have oily skin, but I really like the actual texture and the formula. It is lightweight. It's not something that's super, super pigmented. So if you do use this, it'll look super natural. Just go on top with a powder blush and like you'll be okay, you know? And the only thing too, this is very messy and it doesn't lock like the other one. So just the FYI. I've used this one off camera one time. So Alamad has, again, the two. What I like also with Alamad, it does lock. I have two shades. I have the shade Fresa A Daisy and Acai You Later. Here is Fresa. Look, let me show you. Let me show you. And this is a Latina owned brand. Look at this. Look at this. Oh my god. Here's a purple. You know I love a good purple blush. Oh my god, look at this. Look at that. This pigment is insane. Hold on, let me lock this. For someone who loves makeup the way I do, I sure don't like a mess. And so that's why I'm always like, oh my god, a mess. Look at this. Look at this pigment. Straight up pigment. This, I would say, is like a dupe to the Charlotte Tilbury. Not only is it a little more pigmented, these colors kind of adhere to the skin and it has like that gel kind of like feeling like the Charlotte Tilbury. And this red one, oh, it's so pretty because on my skin tone, a red blush typically goes more like red pink, not necessarily red. So that's why to me, they're not too intimidating. On your skin tone, things do apply very differently, especially I do have medium to tan skin tone. Deeper shades like a red and like a deep pink, a coral, even like a light purple. A deep purple, I mean, it works, but a light purple would work best for my skin tone. Just works so beautifully because pigment. Oh my god. So these are available on Hola Cosmetics website. It is a small brand, Latina owned, and girl, she does makeup very well. They don't release a lot of makeup, but when they do, their makeup is fantastic. So that is it for the liquid side of things. Now let's move on to the powders. Blushes, girl, are out of control. But blush is one of those things. I do find myself, I'll skip like a bronzer moment and I'll just go straight into blush because blush just gives you that pop of color that if you're in a rush, if you don't have time, you get that blush, you put it on and you're kind of good to go. Blush is one of those iconic type of products. If you're like, I don't want to mess with liquid, it's too messy, or I don't like it, or it's an extra step, or whatever the case is, a powder blush is going to be your friend. Let's start with Armani. Armani released a bunch of new blushes. Luminous Silk Blush. When I saw the name, I thought it was going to be like this Lumi product. It's very glowy, very, I don't know, not pigmented, no girl. One of my favorites. Well, first of all, they look like this. Because they are so pigmented, but again, not too pigmented. It's one of those things like you can just brush on. It doesn't look heavy, but it has a good amount of pigment and color where you're like, okay, I see you. These are so good. Wait, I think I have another one, no? Oh no, I gave the other one to my friend. It's a pink one. Let's swatch per the usual. These were one of the ones that were most surprising to me just because I wasn't expecting a lot from this brand. I don't know why, because Armani really does makeup well. They're one of my favorite high-end brands along with Givenchy and Dior. Here, look, girl. Let me look at this. You see how it has that pigment, but it's subtle. It's not too like, whoa. And this is just one swipe. Let's go with the second swipe with that deeper shade, the rose shade. This rose one in the middle is my favorite. And this one's nice. It's a highlighted blush. It gives a good amount of color and it doesn't leave your cheeks with that glitter. I cannot stand when things are just glitter. I need like the shimmer and the glowy particles to be very finely milled, like embedded into the makeup where it just doesn't leave your skin, you know, with that residue. So these powders are so freaking luxe. They're nice. They're not too pigmented, but pigmented enough where you see that color. I just like them. These are just a subtle type of blush. You're gonna get enough to be like, oh, I see and I like, you know what I'm saying? Next one up is Haus Labs. I could not stop raving about these blushes. It's funny because when I reviewed this one and the pink shade was super chalky, but the coral shade, and this new purple shade, this released this year too, freaking amazing. These are very pigmented, but buildable. These are like a great, even the bronzers like this. The formula is very buildable. You can have a very subtle blush color, but you can also get something very intense. I really love how these apply. Let's watch so you can see what I'm talking about. Here, we're gonna do this purple. And again, the purple looks, for some reason on camera, it kind of looks pinky, but it is purple. Applies differently on our body. You see? And it's smooth. It has like this creamy feel, but it's not creamy. It's like a powder, but that's what I'm saying. Sometimes things can feel powdery where it feels chalky, where it feels a little dry. Sometimes that can work if you build it up and like with your skin warmth, it works out. It has a powdery feel, but also creamy. It applies like in this creamy sort of looking way. I love these blushes. They're so good. Since Haus Labs like kind of rebranded the makeup, I really like the brand. They've been killing it, especially for like a celebrity Beauty makeup. A lot of times I don't have high expectations because I just feel like a lot of times it could be average. Too Faced released these blushes. I really like them. I was really wearing this one for a long time. They are very pigmented. The only thing is that, oops, this pink one right here, you know me, I always throw things. It just doesn't really work well for my skin tone. Like, it had gone viral, so I'm like, oh, let me try it. It's too light for my skin tone. But this one right here, oh my, look. This is when you know you feel it. It's very similar to the House Labs, how that one feels. This one I feel like has more of a powdery feel. Also, another thing is when it comes to shades, different shade formula is different. Like, this pink one feels a little more chalky than the darker pink. So that's also a thing where I would love to like review all of a blushes colors. A lot of times, you know, I'm buying the makeup myself, so I try to buy like 2 to 3 colors so you guys have a good indication and a good feel and you can see how they look. But this is like the perfect example where these are the same blushes, same brand, different colors, and they apply differently. This one is just doesn't work with my skin tone. It's too light and way too pale. But this one, it applies like this beautiful dark pink on my cheek, and they're on here because of this one. If you're more of a fair skin, this definitely will work. I think they're very pigmented. They last a long time. They apply well. And this is not only Too Faced though. A lot of brands, when they, you know, different colors, they just apply differently, and that's just how it is sometimes. But look, you see this pigment? You see? Oma Beauty released these blushes. They released a bunch of shades. Like, first of all, look at this packaging. Look how pretty it is. I love that it's a dual highlight and a blush. Makeup is always super, super pigmented. Look here. I love that you can mix these, and anytime you apply a mix like this, I just always find that it applies so beautiful because you get some of the matte powder and the shimmer, the highlight, and it just looks like sun-kissed. I really like that they did this. It's not chalky and it's not glittery. It's perfect. And look at all these shades, like, girl. And I feel like they meshed in the shimmer and the powder very well. You see that? Oh, girl, let's watch another one. Let's watch another one. Oh my god, and this packaging. Look at this berry. This berry's beautiful. A thing about Oma Beauty, they come in with shades. Beautiful shades that fit everyone's skin tone. So you'll never question if you have a shade tone for you, because Oma is really good at inclusivity and getting all our shades right. Because look. And this is that I was gifted these via PR, and I gave my sister one, I gave my friend one. They really, really like these blushes, and it's because it gives that sun-kissed pigmented look that lasts all day, and you can just tell by these swatches. Whew, so freaking good. I love a good mix. I love a good mix. One of the things I love most about this is the packaging, how flat it is. You can put this anywhere. It doesn't take up space, and if you're a makeup collector like me, that matters. And then you have like a little mirror. You can see yourself. You see? Packaging sometimes gets me. Not all the times. I'm not like a big packaging girl. But when I saw these, I'm like, dang, this is like a compact. It's just so cute. Next up, Dior released new shades of their Backstage blush. This is actually the blush I have on today. This is not new, but they released, I think, 4 or 5 new shades. I only purchased one. It's the cherry shade, and this is like the perfect red. It's red, pink. That's how it applies on my skin tone. On the pan, it looks straight up red. I know a lot of people were some people liked these, some people didn't. I like these Dior blushes because they are very buildable. They're not highly pigmented, and they're not lackluster. Perfect if you're new to makeup or you don't like something super heavy. It's a very lightweight, but it's not like it's lackluster. There's a difference, you know, where you can't build it. You keep putting product on and you don't see a difference. This one just applies so perfectly. I do find that the formula is similar to the original one, the pink one that I really like. That's another one I use like crazy last year. I have a few application on these on YouTube Shorts, so if you want to check it out, it is up there. I do upload a lot here on YouTube now. I do about 2 shorts a day and 1 long form video a day, so you guys always got some content to watch and new makeup and all that. So yeah, this is a yes. This is a yes. Oh my god, my neck looks dry. You guys, I have these spots that look super dry here. By the way, you guys, on my eyes, it's the eyeshadow sticks from Laura Mercier in the shade Brick and Dune. I really like it. Makeup Forever Forever released new blushes, and I saw new contours, a new concealer. They're like out here doing the dang thing. I have two. I did review 3 shades. The review is brand spanking new. I did it this week, and these are the blushes. Makeup Forever, if you're not familiar with the brand, it's one of those brands, one that I don't feel like they do makeup wrong. It's always a very subtle, lightweight airbrush look you're gonna get, and that's how these products perform. Of course, it's very buildable, so you can really build it up to a heavy color, but for the most part, they're kind of like in the realm of Charlotte Tilbury, where you get a nice flush of color. And this is exactly what it is. They're subtle in the sense that you won't get heavy pigment right off the bat. They are very, very buildable. You could just tell by this swatch. You see how smooth it applied? You see that pigment? It's not whoa, but it's enough to where like, whoa, I like it. And this shimmer one, you guys know I am not a shimmer girl. Look at my face already. I've had my makeup on 2 hours. I'm already glowy, and that's the reason why. And another reason is when products just spit out that glitter stuff and you look like a legit disco ball instead of something very hydrating. This is that. It's that hydrating, that radiance from within. And look at this color. It's so pretty. It's like this gold coral. Usually you just see coral, but gold coral? Oh my God, I really, really like these. They're so beautiful. I also did a 2-day review because I needed to show you how they look. Ugh. So good. Another one straight off the presses, Givenchy. I literally yesterday did a full face of Givenchy makeup, and I'm like, okay, these are pricey. They're like $40 each, but we know Givenchy is a very expensive makeup brand. These are the only loose blushes I've ever used. And when you think about a loose blush, you think about a hot mess. It's just not gonna apply evenly. I don't know. It's just kind of, but you know, Givenchy and these 4 color like quadrant thingies here, it works. So we're gonna shake it up. And when I tell you, these are radiant blushes too, and that was another thing I was like, ooh, let me show you the mix. Girl, this is how it looks, right? A little messy. It's like a little questionable. Something about the powder that Givenchy does, even with their setting powder, it has this like finely milled feel where it literally sticks on. And let me show you. You see that? That's how you know when something is finely milled and will just blend out well, is if it sticks onto your hand. I mean your finger. And then look, you're gonna swatch. Not only is it a little radiant, it's like this slight radiance, but you get more pigment. And there's nothing better than something that says radiant, where you get more pigment than radiant. Like, I love these shades. I think they have like 5 shades or something. They have a good shade range, and I absolutely love these shades. I love the pigment. That was what I was most shocked, because again, a loose blush, you're like, what the heck? I don't even know if I've used a loose blush before. I've used like a lot of those loose highlighter blushes type, not like a straight up blush, because this is not a highlighter. It does apply radiance, and it applies in this soft way where just things glide nicely. You're not gonna get patches. It's not gonna skip. It's not chalky. It has this very smooth high-end feel. That was what I was like straight tripping about, because I just wasn't sure, you know, a loose blush it just doesn't make sense in theory, but in reality it does. Okay, the ones I feel like have took me by storm. I'm like, wait, the heck? Girl, L'Oreal released these blushes. Oh my God, I'm so hot talking about blushes. I look like I'm straight up glistening. You guys, it's only been 3 hours in the wear test. Whew. Whoa, pigment. Drugstore and okay, this is the most pigmented blush at the drugstore. Hell, I think even more than here. I mean, Givenchy is up there too. So you guys know L'Oreal Infallible is a very like full coverage line. Nothing subtle, nothing is, no. Foundation, everything, their concealer, their powder, it's very full coverage. You're gonna get that full pigment. And that's typically what full coverage is. Girl, I've used these a ton. I've created a bunch of YouTube shorts. Like essentially my fascination in these. First and foremost, look at this. Girl, tell me this is not the most pigmented blush in this mix. Liquid and powder. Wow, you're gonna get the bang for your buck. These are gonna last. They have a very soft matte feel, a very just glidey feel. They have a high-end feel. They don't feel chalky. They don't skip. They don't leave patches. This is truly a high quality blush, and L'Oreal did that. I've heard a lot of people say it's way too pigmented. OMG, what the heck? I don't think it's way too pigmented, as especially a woman of color, where there's sometimes certain colors don't even show up on me, like that pink one I was telling you guys about, the Too Faced one. I appreciate pigment. I think we all can use pigment. The only thing is with these, you have to go light-handed. You cannot go in swirling your brush. It's a one swirl and a one swirl or tap on your face, and that's it. That's the caveat about these. Go in light-handedly, but you will have this blush forever because it's so pigmented. It's so great. I love it. I just love the Infallible line by L'Oreal. I think it's their best line, and I really want to put it on here. I know I'm doing a wear test. I keep talking about this wear test, but let's look. Look at this. This is, what shade is this? Fearless Coral. This is more pink coral though. I like the coral shade of the Givenchy a little bit better because, and the House Labs, because it is truly a coral shade. This is more pink coral, but also I feel like to the drugstore, they don't get the colors like right. They don't get like, when I see coral, I want coral. I don't want a pink coral. That's another thing, like the drugstore, their color, their foundations and stuff. It's not the greatest, but for the price point, I feel like that's where they cut off. That's where the budget ends. But yeah, fam, this is it. I've been laughing so much. I'm like really hot. So, whew, you guys, blushes galore. I cannot even believe it's only July. It's still July, and these are all the blushes that have released this year. Let me know which one's your favorite one. To me, I'm gonna have to go with L'Oreal. My favorite. Givenchy is one of my other ones, and Armani. House Labs too. You know, I can't pick. I don't know why I always ask you to pick, but I can't pick. I just love blushes. You guys know I review them a lot. Look at my hand. Let me know which one's your favorite one. Let me know if you've tried any of these. This is it. I just want to do a quick recap with swatches so you guys can have everything in one video, because when I was looking, I was like, dang, blushes are coming in hot, and I want to do like a kind of mid-year sort of, you know, quick roundup. I know you guys been liking these roundups. Thank you for hanging out with me and spending a little bit of your day with me. I know this video was long. Get a snack, get your coffee, because we chit-chatting about blushes. So I love you guys. Thank you so much for all the love and support you always show me. I love you. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, click the button right there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.